I want to introduce Nancy Davis, who's a really special person and an inspiration to many of us. She has founded the Nancy Davis Foundation for Multiple Sclerosis and the Center Without Walls, which is an innovative way to study multiple sclerosis. And Nancy has decided that we all have to work together, and that's absolutely required, and has accelerated the pace of discovery because of her efforts, and she's here tonight.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for inviting me here. This is really quite an honor to be here tonight, so I'm very pleased to be here. 14 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and at that time, there was no known cause, no cure, no drugs on the market, really no uniform way to tell you what you should or should not do. I was told by supposedly a good neurologist to go home and go to bed, and the most that I could look forward to in my life was possibly operating the remote control of my TV set. I was a young mom. I had 3 kids who were 6, 8, and 10, who were my world, and the idea of not being there for my children was devastating. I was very lucky. The next day, I did go and get another opinion from another doctor who told me, in fact, I had MS, but gave me a little bit of a different prognosis. And after that, I set out to get many second opinions because I did not want to have this disease called MS. It sounded, really terrible to me, and it sounded like my life was over. The reality was it gave me a different life, a life I had never planned. I didn't major in it in college. It wasn't something I knew I'd be doing with the rest of my life, but here I am today. I have not lived down to this sort of negative prognosis. I have a very full life. I'm very lucky. I am mobile. I know not everybody with MS is as lucky as I am. I know I'm very, very, very fortunate. In going to doctor to get second opinions, I went to many of the most wonderful doctors in our country. And one of the things that occurred to me was they all told me I had MS, which was not my favorite thing to hear. But the prognosis was so incredibly different from hospital to hospital. A lot of the doctors wanted me to get involved with what they were doing, and I wanted to see where I could put my effort to make the biggest difference. And when I listened to what doctors at Harvard, like Dr. Weiner, and other very respectable institutions were doing, it seemed as though they were doing very much identical research, but knew that they were the only ones doing it. And an alarm went off in my head, and I thought, well, I have this very unpopular disease, and that's not getting very much funding. And if we could put the best and the brightest together to truly work as one, to work as a team, to constantly share information, to never duplicate, but to constantly communicate, we would come up with a cure a lot quicker. It sounded like a very, easy concept. It took a while to put this together. It's now put together. Called the Center Without Walls. And Johns Hopkins is our 7th member. We had a national contest a couple years back, and they were the winners. And so they're now part of this group that does include Harvard, Yale, the Cleveland Clinic, USC, UC San Francisco, the Oregon Health Science University. And they truly have put down the traditional barriers that exist in research, as far as I see it from being a layperson who has a disease. A young woman who's very desperate to live a very good life, a good quality of life. And I am so grateful that this particular group of doctors has put down, what people look down upon in medicine, and really come together in a very honest, supportive way and communicate every month. So I see so much has evolved since I was first diagnosed, and I know that I'm lucky to be here today and doing what I'm doing. Along my journey, I seem to get so many calls from people all the time who are newly diagnosed with a variety of illnesses, many MS and many other diseases. And I constantly am learning that so many people are doing worse with illnesses than they have to do because of their attitude and because of the environment that they're surrounded in. And I finally decided to write a book, which everybody will get tonight for free. And it's called Lean on Me. When I was first diagnosed with MS, I was driving in my car, and this great Bill Withers song, Lean on Me, came on. And I started listening to the lyrics of that song, and it was so much about the plight I was going through at the time. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your strength. I'll help you carry on. I needed friends to lean on. I needed family to lean on. Anybody diagnosed with any illness needs a support team. You need a wonderful doctor, many doctors perhaps. Beyond that, you need a family. You need people in your circle who support you. You don't get better by yourself. You can't think things through by yourself. You really need a team. In my book, Lean on Me, it goes through what I think are 10 of the most important steps to getting better. And this doesn't just relate to MS. This relates to every disease, because at some point in your life, you or your loved one will in fact be diagnosed with a life-altering or life-threatening disease. And it's devastating. You don't know what to do. And this book is a very easy book written to be understood by everybody. We all look at the very distinguished doctors here, and I find them very intimidating. I don't know if you all do, but there's a different language amongst doctors. But if you have a disease, it's your body and it's your life, and you owe it to yourself to fight every single day for your health. You need to know that there is nothing over your head or any funny Latin terms that cannot be translated into plain English. You own your body. You own every day of your life, and you can get better with whatever it is and have a better quality of life. And if, in fact, you sit down, you educate yourself, you take the steps that are in this book and understand it. The first chapter is about embracing change. Once you are diagnosed with a disease, your life will never be the same. It's going to be different, and it could be better. And I know when I was diagnosed, I felt kind of sorry for myself, and I thought, why is God punishing me? What did I do? Why is this horrible thing happening to me? But in hindsight, it was actually a really good thing that happened to me. It made me a better person, a more evolved person. It made me more compassionate, more appreciative of my life. I took a lot of things for granted. When I would get out of bed in the morning, I would put my feet on the ground, and I didn't think anything of that. Now I know that every morning when I put my feet on the ground and I can feel my feet on the ground, I stop for a minute and I thank God. And I thank God that I have another day that I can be healthy. And I know that's very lucky. So in embracing change, people need to start, realizing when you have an illness that it's time to start really living your life. Nobody knows what tomorrow's going to bring. You could get hit by a truck, be in an earthquake. God knows it could happen. But once you have a disease, it kind of makes you be a different person. And as bad as it seems, sometimes it's really better. It makes you evolve and understand things and put away the petty stuff that doesn't really matter in life. Chapter 2 in the book has to do with, it's called Fear Less. We all are terrified when we're diagnosed with an illness, and we all have fears. We're afraid of dying, of losing our independence, our companionship of people around us, our ability to support ourselves. It's very normal to have fear, but at some point you have to get a grip on your fears so that you can finally move forward and start the process of healing. And life, as I know it today, is so precious, and it's really important to make every single day in your life count and be special to you. There's a chapter on picking the best doctor. You need a doctor that you can talk to, who will talk to you, who's accessible, who you relate to, and a doctor who might be great for one person might not be great for you. It doesn't mean it's not a good doctor, but you need to really research. In our country, only 24% of people ever bother getting a second opinion, which really is a shame, because no two doctors see things eye to eye. If you sit at any of these conferences, you'll see many of the doctors arguing back and forth. They have different research, they have different experiences with different patients, they see it differently. It's really, really important to not worry about hurting your doctor's feelings, which is the number one reason why people never get a second opinion. Really great, confident doctors will welcome a second opinion, and it's very important that you empower yourself and understand the more knowledge that you have from the more people, the better you will get with your disease. And in creating a health team for yourself, it's important to surround yourself with people who can also go with you to the doctor when you are first diagnosed or something that happens. Sometimes you only hear the positive, sometimes you only hear the negative, but you never hear everything. You don't. You're devastated. Your mind is running in a million different directions, and it's so important to have somebody there with you to help you at all times and to create a team of people around you. When you're part of a family, you can never be that selfish with your disease that you think you're the only person that is being hurt by this disease. Everybody in a family is affected. If people love you, they are affected. They suffer with you. They get better with you. And you need to be honest with them. You need to treat them right. Caregivers, I know there's a lot of caregivers here, sometimes don't get the appreciation that they deserve. It's a tough job. It's a really hard job, and you need to be appreciative of people who help you and understand that they're suffering right along with you. And so it's a really important thing. One of the best things that I think it's chapter 10 in my book, one of the most important steps is giving back. I think, as we're talking about the NIH grant, but the budgets are shrinking. There's so little money for all this really important research. And there's something about no matter how big or how little of a thing that you can do, and I can see a lot of people in this room have given back so unselfishly of themselves to charity. When you create a charity and you get one letter, just one letter from somebody whose life you've touched, it is the most great, the most overwhelming feeling. And I think part of the process of healing and getting better is the importance of giving back. And when you give to charity and you realize what you've done, you're helping yourself and you're helping a lot of lives. And we have so much money that needs to be raised and so much to do. And even in the smallest ways, the biggest ways, whatever you do, it's so important to always give back. So I thank you so much for having me here. I'm really honored to be here tonight, and you're all doing great things, and it's wonderful to be with such a distinguished group of people. Thank you.